G'day everyone, and welcome to the Video Confidence Connect with your host, Zoe, the Video Confidence Coach. And thank you for your patience this morning. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties out here during the wet and weather that we've had down here in Victoria, Australia. So apologies if we do drop off with this connection today. Do not worry, we are still here. We are just dealing with everything. So I want to welcome, first of all, do an acknowledgement to country before we begin anything of today's live stream. So glad you can join us. I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung and Kulin. I'll start that again. I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians on lands and owners of the lands on which I conduct my business. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to face discrimination and disadvantage due to our country's colonial past. I stand with them in their fight against injustice. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And welcome to today's Video Confidence Connect. So this is my weekly chance to chat with you and get your questions answered, and that is what is happening today. We are recording 2 podcast episodes that have been requested by you guys. One is from an email and one is from a networking event that I attended earlier this week with someone who was just flabbergasted. And turns out I had met them in the past and they had been using this technique everywhere. So I will definitely talk about that in today's podcast episodes. Today, As you can probably see if you're watching today's live stream, I am very stickered up. Usually I do have a couple of stickers here and there that I glue on with eyelash glue so they stay on a little bit more. And today I honestly just felt a little bit chaotic. It has been crazy weather down here, so my apologies if I end up sweating a bit more than usual because I had to turn off all the things that make noise but keep things cool. What I will do though is I'll take this guy off because that is annoying me. I was trying to complete the look, but I think today, it works better without that. So things that we have accomplished this week. And again, if you are interested in chiming in your thoughts or having any questions about what we discussed today, feel free to comment in the chat box, either on YouTube or LinkedIn, wherever you're finding us today. So we are definitely we are at least 2 weeks into Q4. So we are currently in middle of October of 2024. So I am currently planning my 2025 strategy, not just my marketing strategy, but my business strategy and that of my clients as well, and changes that we're making and big things happening, as you can probably imagine. So for those who are currently in the midst of it, I give you all my best luck and wish you all the best during this chaotic time, especially leading up to the end of the year and Christmas. I'm not sure about yourself, mainly because the work that I do is very evergreen. It is very established foundations for future growth in marketing and the work that I do. I don't really have a Christmas rush because when people buy stuff from me, my rush mainly, I would say, is around June to July of every year, because it becomes that end of financial year and people start planning for the future, despite the fact that they technically should be planning for the future the whole time. But around June and July is when everyone starts really getting going, and that's when we at the Video Confidence Coach book a lot of our clients in. So as we're gearing up to the end of the year, we start slowing down, and ultimately as soon as it hits mid-November, everyone starts saying, oh, can we do this in 2025? Can we start doing this in the new year? Can we start pushing it? And again, I totally agree and I totally understand. Not great for cash flow, but what are you going to do? So if you are in that situation like me, do not worry, start planning for 2025 now. You will feel a lot more secure and a lot more controllable about the situation that you're in at the moment. And for those who are gearing up for Christmas, hopefully you have done a lot of work in, say, August of this year to plan for the Black Friday sales and Christmas sales, because people, with the cost of living crisis that we're in right now, people are going to be purchasing a lot earlier and are going to be looking for bargains a lot more long term. So if there's anything that you can take away from that now, start pushing out things now. Not panicking or stressing, but start thinking about putting things out now. Because in past, people may have been more likely to leave it till end of November into December. Now people are starting to do work now to buy Christmas presents for the year. Blah, 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 all that. For us on our end at the Video Confidence Coach, the courses that we've got going on are going strong. They are continuing to thrive, and we're all really glad to see the other students that we're working with. I want to stress that this is not courses that we're running. This is courses that we're attending to help grow our knowledge in leadership and marketing and business. And there's at least 2 other courses that I'm currently working on that fulfill that parameter. One of them being the Accidental Leaders Program run by Mentor My Success, Donna Morrison. And it is beautiful to see the other leaders and emerging leaders in that space grow and learn these techniques firsthand. The last thing I want to touch on is next week we are gearing up for networking events, because next week is that 3rd week of the month where all of a sudden all the network events start to kick in. We have the October After 5 for the Chamber, so that's on Tuesday night. So if you're around Geelong and the Bellarine and you are a Chamber member, they may or may not have still tickets yet. Have fun. But if I see you there, it will be awesome to see you. And for those who are interested in podcasting, who are around Geelong and the Bellarine, we are holding our monthly Geelong Podcasters monthly catch-up event at the end on Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. next week. So again, if you are interested in joining us there, feel free to reach out. You will be seeing a lot of me social media-wise over the next however long, and we will gear up for this year. 2025, there's going to be a fair bit of a shake-up, so we'll see how we go from there. And like I said, if there are any cutouts during today's stream, we are experiencing some pretty intense heavy thunderstorms and lightning and rain everywhere. So if I do cut out, do not stress. I am still here. We're just going to deal with an internet issue because the internet around Australia is great. But we are going to start off with 2 podcast recordings today, starting off with recording yourself during your event and meet me web pages for networking events. And I'm going to describe that in more detail as we get to those podcast episodes. If you have any questions during today's podcast recordings, live streams, or anything like that, feel free to comment. I do my best to respond to the comments and hashtag replay. Anyone who is watching on the replay. One of these, was it the Meet Me? Looking at my notes here just quickly. Yes. One of these podcasts is actually spurred by some of the comments that we've had in the past on some of our videos. So if you want to have these topics talked about or focused on, do let me know. All right, I'm going to take a drink, get some aircon on, get nice and cool, and we'll get going. You've made it. The event that you either signed up for a very long time ago or the one that you are speaking at is right around the corner. You've worked so hard to get to where you are. You've practiced your speech over and over again. You know exactly what you're saying, how to get the people on board, practicing with maybe your family or your friends, or maybe even some colleagues of yours to make sure you get the eye contact right, the audience engagement right. And you are just so excited and it's right there. You can just see it in your grasp. And then someone mentions, oh, are you recording it? Oh, can I see it later? Oh, I won't be able to make it to the event. Can I see a recording of it? And your heart sinks. Because with everything else going on, preparing for the event, this opportunity that has been granted to you, you didn't think about recording it. What do you do now? Welcome to the Video Confidence Coach cast with your host, the Video Confidence Coach, Zoe Wood, here to connect the dots between marketing and your personal brand with the power of video. So, the thing that I have just described to you before in the intro was prompted by an email of one of my email subscribers. So if you are not on that list, feel free to check it out on our website and you can join the Video Confidence crew. So essentially, this was a description given to me, like I embellished it a little bit, mainly just with a little bit of that heart-centered stuff, just so you could dry along with me with that story. But if you are a speaker, an MC, or someone who's just been given an opportunity to speak on your topic or your niche interest, or the essentially area that you want to be an authority in, having speaking opportunities is always great for your brand. You get in front of people who are there, usually either for an expo or a convention or a larger event where you are there because they want to get bums on seats, but you're also there to speak very highly about whatever topic that you're there for. They've given you that opportunity, or more likely, you have seeked out that opportunity and now you've got it right in front of you. And for this particular person, I gave them a very clear rundown of everything that we're going to describe in this podcast for you. And of course, I'm not going to mention their name or any describing details because they didn't give me permission for that, but they gave me permission to be able to share this with you. So with everything that I've just described, you can imagine how they feel that they had an event in about 2 days' time and they had just had a conversation with a good friend of theirs. And their friend, of course, is someone who works a 9 to 5, and the convention that they're speaking at is like during the day. It's a 3-day event and they've got a spot on the second day. But it's at 11 a.m. and their friend, who has honestly been with them throughout, can't support them because they've got other commitments. They've got a 9 to 5 job. You got to be at a 9 to 5 job. You got to be at the job, as you can probably imagine. And they feel a bit gutted. And they've done a lot of prep, and I've talked to them about this. They've done a lot of prep to get ready. So they're very on the ball when it comes to the actual people in the room. But then they've come to me saying, Zoe, I need to record this event. I don't have the budget right now to afford a very professional group or set. Some of these events are being recorded, but then some of them are not. I've tried to get any sort of information from the organizers of the event, and they are not responding to any of my emails. Probably because the question itself maybe is on a low priority for them when it comes to running a major expo event. So, what are you to do in that situation? You may be thinking, just record it yourself. And that is what was going to be my recommendation as well. So for this particular instance, the speech itself was 20 minutes. So it's not too long, but more than just 10 minutes. And they've rehearsed it again and again, so they're fairly confident on that front. So this is what I recommended. And of course, I made it quite clear, like, hey, take it with a pinch of salt. If it's, yes, this is going to be one opportunity that you have. It's not going to be the last opportunity that you have, especially with the career and the focus that you've got going on ahead of you. There's going to be more speaking opportunities. But in the event that you want to record your event and you either don't have a budget, or maybe it's very last minute, or any other example that would fit this need, you can do a couple of these things, and I have a checklist available on my website for you to download when scrambling for this type of event. The thing that you need to do is to think about 2 things. Well, honestly, 3 things is that you need to think about. You need to think about what you're actually using this video for. Then that dictates what you're actually going to do with the next 2 steps. You got to think about the visual, and you got to think about the audio. Now, of course, I have seen and heard big major speakers in their particular niches, like set up a phone, give a phone to a friend and just say, record this. And it kind of works. Like, the lighting isn't great because it's just from an audience member. The sound is very echoey and it makes it very hard to hear. Say, for example, if they want to then use it in a podcast or in a video or in anything longer than, say, 30 to 60 seconds, it can be quite hard to just sit there and listen, especially when ultimately you weren't in the room. So that is what we're going to touch on in the first point. I'm going to apologize, and for those watching, I'm going to get my hair out of my face. Because like I said, it is humid, and my hair is doing its thing, and we're going to get it out of our face. So, the thing that you need to think about, especially when self-recording or providing that opportunity to someone else, is you have to think about what the video is ultimately going to be for. And I say this because this will then dictate what you're going to do next. So say, for example, if you're just recording the video for your future reference so that you can look back and say, okay, this is how I was on stage. Maybe I started off a little bit too nervous and then I settled in relatively quickly. How can I achieve that settled in look? And being able to record this video gives me a lot more perspective on how I can do better in the future. So if it's just for your reference, then it makes sense to, for example, one of 2 things. You can make a friend at the event, or maybe someone in the front row, be nice, be chummy, offer to buy them a drink and say, hey, can you record this for me? You can either give them your phone and make sure that your phone, if you are recording with your phone, has plenty of battery, has plenty of space, So you can record the video. And if you're going to record the video for your own self-reflection purposes, making sure that the quality is maybe a little bit lower so you have a bit more room to play with on the phone. What I mean by this is instead of recording in, say, 4K, which is one of the largest sizes of a video frame, as you can probably imagine, that's going to take up a lot of space on your phone, and also maybe isn't necessary for a self-tape or self-reference video. So in those moments, you can go into the camera settings and maybe take it down to, say, 720p, which is not our normal. So what I mean by this is that the size of the video, the frame, and the quality of the video that's being put out is what I'm referring to. The normal or our standard at the moment, say for example for YouTube videos or for other videos online, is around 1080p. So that's going to be a usual size. It's not like the crispest quality video, but it gets the job done. And the 720 is the slightly smaller version of that, which again, if it's just for self-reference, should be fine. That gives you plenty of room on the phone to make sure that when you actually record the event, it doesn't run out of space on the phone to keep recording the event. And also it doesn't put too much strain on the battery. You're recording video, so there's going to be some strain on the battery, but that gives you an opportunity. So again, you can just hand it over to a friend, again, offer to buy them a drink or give them something in return, or maybe even record their event if that is the case. And again, if you're doing it in self-reference, even having on the side of the stage or maybe just somewhere in the front couple of rows, that's awesome. Again, it is for your reference. Now, of course, when it's for their reference, you're probably going to hear them either breathing or coughing or maybe eating. Keep that in mind. Again, it's for your self-reference. Now, if you do not have a friend, or if you're too scared to approach someone and say, hey, can you record my 15-minute speech? Then grabbing yourself one of these. For those who are listening, this is a mini tripod. I give these away at workshops and events. And if you are interested in getting one for yourself, I can easily send you one. You just say, hey, Zoe, I watched this podcast or this live stream. Hey, do you mind sending me one of those little tripods for mobile phones? And I say, yes, give me your postal address and I'll send it to you. So essentially what this is a mini tripod that it's got two factors. It has a holder up the top for your mobile phone that stretches out to encapsulate the phone in the holder so then it doesn't go anywhere. And it's got legs that are flexible that you can wrap around, say, railings or chairs, or you've got a bit more flexibility on where you actually end up having this tripod. So in instances like that, you can, again, attach it to a chair or attach it to somewhere that is very secure on the side of where you're filming. And if that is all that you've got, awesome, self-tape, beautiful. Again, this is for your own reference. But if you are recording this video to use on your website, on your email list, on your social media, or anywhere else, and even in the event that you don't exactly know what you're going to do with this recording of the event, I would, in my professional opinion, recommend trying to record the best quality footage so that in the event that you don't want to use it, you can go, okay, cool, I've got this here. I didn't like how it ended up. I don't want this to represent me publicly or professionally. Cool, I'm just gonna put that to the side and it's never gonna see the light of day again. Again, you are the one in charge. This is your personal brand. You have the choice. So in that event that you're not entirely sure what you're wanting to do with the presentation or recording, or you have a slight feeling, hey, I'm probably going to at least share snippets of this on my social media. I'm going to maybe put this behind a paywall or some sort of email list wall so that people who are really interested in the subject that I'm talking about have to give their email address to then go see the video. If that is the case, then this requires a little bit more preparation. The reason being is because not just you are going to be seeing it, and you're going to be using it to advertise yourself, to promote yourself, not necessarily just to get email addresses, but to use on social media to showcase your expertise in the industry or the area that you're trying to build authority in. And if the video is crap, be it visually or auditorily, people are going to think you're crap. And I'm not saying this to scare you or to be facetious. I'm saying this realistically. Now, of course, If this was spur of the moment, you had like less than half an hour to prep for this event, I can understand that maybe recording the event wasn't high on your priority. Then sure, put it off to the side and maybe use small snippets of it, maximum 30 seconds in say longer video pieces of content or in longer podcast formats. That is perfectly fine. Because again, you're giving people context of what they're going to watch or listen to. And you tell them it's only going to last 30 seconds, 45 seconds. People are thinking, okay, that's all right. This was spur of the moment. But if you've got time to plan, if you've got a little bit of thinking time ahead, I highly recommend doing these things. I highly recommend. Let's start off with a few things. So again, if you're filming on mobile, very much like what I mentioned before, making sure that you have space on your mobile phone to record a video. The minimum quality that you want to record at is at 1080p. You can go 4K, but that is going to take up a significantly larger amount of space on the phone than, a 1080p video will. And then you need to think about your audio. So let's go through these processes already. So you've already thought about, hey, I'm going to record this video. I'm going to use it on my social media. So the things that you need to think about ahead of time is, how long is my presentation going to be? Cool. Is there anyone else on the stage with me? The reason I bring this up is because when you're recording, it's not just you. It's going to be the host, it's going to be the MC, or it's going to be maybe a panel that you're on with other people. You need to get written permission from both the creator of the event, the host of the event, or the people who are on stage, as well as the people running the event. Because even though that you are on their stage speaking and it is you, your face, your body, your voice, there is a little bit of, I don't want to say copyright, because the copyright again is your face and your material, and you're bringing that knowledge to the stage, but it is their stage. It is their logo in the background. It is their, opportunities. It is, you know what I mean by that. I've forgotten what the word I'm exactly trying to think of, but just courtesy, keep that in mind of making sure that you get written permission, just like, hi, do you mind if I record? Again, that's why you think in ahead of time. Maybe you have either a Facebook group or a Discord chat, or maybe even a Slack channel of people who are really invested in what you do. They want to see a recording of the event. You can let them know, say, hey, I just want to record this video for what have you. And if they are already recording the event, they are more likely going to say no, because they already have professionals who they have hired to record the event for you. And in that case, making sure that you get their permission to share that video from their platforms is going to be better than you trying to organize a rickety setup, if, say, for example, if that's what's going on. But in the event that they do not have, they're not having it professionally recorded, then in those instances, then they're more likely to say yes, because it gives them promotion for the event. Then when they run it again, either the next month, next quarter, next year, gives them promotion as well. And make sure you mention to them, hey, we'll make sure to share and tag and use the hashtag when posting on publicly and social media, so that people know about you. And they're going to say yes. And if they say no, I'm going to question that very much entirely. They want to promote their event, so they're going to do it. So again, you've gotten permission from the event hosts. Now you need to get permission from everyone else that's going to be on stage. If, say, for example, it's a dual speaking opportunity, or maybe it's a panel, or whatever is the situation may be, you need to get written permission from these other people. It's just to let them know, again, hey, I'm recording an event. This is where it's going to go. This is how I'm going to use the footage. Do I have your permission to record you and record your voice? I am going to, and again, be very explicit and be very clear and very transparent about what you're planning to do with the footage, so then they can make an educated choice. And say, for example, in that instance that they say, hey, I'm not really comfortable about you recording it, recording our speech. You can say, that is perfectly fine. Just so you know that, I'm going to record my sections of the event and make sure that you aren't, visible, or you aren't seen on the presentation. And they're more likely to say yes, because again, you are being transparent and you're taking that opportunity. But again, they are on stage, so it's more likely that they're going to say, sure, why not? Again, if you build a rapport and you talk with people, you're going to build trust. So again, you have that permission already in place. Now, at either on the day or maybe a day before, if you've got that opportunity, case out the location. Is there a place where you could attach your phone, either using a flexible tripod, or again, where you could sit someone that's not so far forward that they're looking up your nostrils, but not so far back that you're a little speck on the screen moving about. In a nice, space where you can realistically, again, if you're planning to give it to a friend, that they can sit there with holding a phone, usually with their fingers. So their fingers are not covering the butt end of the phone or the bottom end of the phone where the microphone usually is located, because that's where people pick up phone calls and that's where the microphone usually is. You want people to hold it like this, so then they're not, not in the way, and far enough from their face where it's not going to pick up their own breathing. Hot tip on that one. And in the event that that is not the case and you're not handing it over to someone, where is a high enough spot in the space where there's not going to be any people around or anyone that's going to be in your way, possibly bumping your phone, possibly moving your phone? Where is a good place that you can keep this? And say, for example, if you're working with, say, an AV department, and especially with larger stages, these are the audio-visual department who are in charge of the lights and the sounds, and possibly even the recording of the event, depending on what's going on. You can talk to them. Again, be very nice, be very casual, and if you need to, butter them up with offering to get them a coffee or maybe a snack, if you like. If you need to do that, of course. And you can offer to say, do you mind if I record the event? I'm just going to leave this here. I'm going to use my own, audio recording from the event. And they will most likely say yes, because there is a lot of places within that technical equipment that they're not going to touch, that they're not going to get in the way of. And of course, they are there to do a job. So do your best not to inconvenience them in any way. But at the same time, you can maybe use that opportunity to record a nice, stable shot. Possibly using a tripod, preferably. So again, we've covered the planning ahead part of what we're doing. Now we need to think about the actual visual and audio aspects. So again, all of that planning that we've done before, we haven't even thought about how we're actually recording this. Okay, so we've already thought about the mobile phone. We've got that covered. We've got permission of the event and also the people that are going to be on stage with us, if that is the case. Now we need to think about the audio. I know you thought that I was going to say visual first. Nah, think about the video first. There is a little bit of visual thinking when you're trying to pick a place to set up the phone. But again, that can be very much dictating or different, depend on where you actually end up finding a spot. The more important thing when it comes to speaking engagements is the audio quality. The reason being that people can get away with a recording if the audio is okay, if the visual is a bit crap. The reason I mention this is because, as you can imagine, on a stage where there are people in front of you in an audience and there are harsh lights on your face and there are lights behind you, it's not necessarily built for cameras. There's a reason why professionals come in to film these events, because they've got the cameras that have a lot more control of their lighting. When you're filming from a phone, especially a phone that you are not there, niggling and trying to get the looks just right, it's not going to look that great, no matter what you do, because again, you are focusing on different aspects. You're trying to record this for, again, your own reference, or maybe you're going to use it in the future. Whatever it be, the audio needs to be good. And the way that you can do this is a couple of ways. You can use either another phone or maybe a friend's phone and record an audio note, I should say. So there are audio notes that are in all apps on all different devices. And again, keeping that butt end of the phone. So I'll get an example for you using a phone for those who are watching either on the live stream or watching the video version of this podcast. Make sure to check this out on the website. So we've got a phone, we've got the cameras up here, and down here is where we've got the charging port as well as the microphone. So in those events, you would open up the voice note app, press record, turn off the screen or lock the screen, and unlock the screen to make sure it's still recording after you lock the screen. Highly recommend. And then if you are wearing a suit and something that has an inner jacket pocket, put the microphone there. There is going to be some rustling and it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than nothing because the microphone, which again, the butt end, the microphone end is going to be closer than your mouth than the mobile phone that is recording you, that is a minimum 5 meters away, possibly even more. So in those events, you can do something like that. For those of us who have ample chest or is wearing a bra, you can just shove the phone down there. It's going to get sweaty, so hopefully your friend is okay with that and you can just clean it up afterwards. But again, it may look a bit strange, especially if you're wearing a tight garment. But again, there are other things happening, and for those of us who have ample breasts, you can very easily get away with it. So I'm pulling the phone out of where I was. What you're ultimately wanting to do is you're wanting to get the microphone as close to your mouth as possible to reduce any sort of background noise, any sort of distortion that will make it sound unprofessional or uncouth. And the reason that I say this is because I've done this at professional events for my own, but also for other people's events, where they come to me 5 minutes before their presentation. Hey Zoe, I need to record this. Can you please help me? And of course, because I like them and we're friends, I help them. So got my phone, put the voice recording on, shoved it in their chest, which they very much appreciated. And then I got my phone, got my little flexible tripod that I always seem to have one on hand because I do have a lot of them. And then I found a spot, put the camera and let it go. They have then used that video in throughout their social media, throughout their website, throughout their highlights of what they do. And it works. It works really well. Now, of course, there's going to be some sound distortion because if you move your hands or if you move your hands over where the microphone is, there is going to be a bit of fabric and a bit of sounds like that. But that can be forgiven if the quality is good. Now, if you've got the time to prepare, highly recommend this over that other option. I highly recommend looking into lavalier microphones. So lavalier microphones are microphones that are essentially very little tiny buds that are clipped onto your clothing, that are again on top of your clothing to avoid any distortion that we've just mentioned. So these lavalier microphones can be either corded or Bluetooth. You may have seen these in YouTube videos or in other social media platforms where the sound is really good. And say it with me now, because it's right next to their mouth. And the reason it's so good is because, now for those, again, if you're watching on the podcast or the live stream, you can see this now. I've got a lavalier microphone just here. And I'm going to hold it in front of my face because I'm pale and you can see it. There's a little bud microphone and there's a clip onto it. And essentially what this does is that you're able to clip it onto your clothing as close as you can to your mouth without getting any sort of fabric distortion. And this one that I have with me now is a corded one. And this plugs into your mobile phone. If your mobile phone has a headphone jack. My mobile phones have headphone jacks because I like that. And I like that opportunity. And in the event that you do not have a headphone jack, then you can get what is known as the Bluetooth version of it, which essentially looks like a little tiny square that sits on your clothing, again, above your clothing, to record the audio Bluetooth to either the phone that you're recording the video on, if you've got that worked out, and you've also tested this before the event, or you've got the opportunity to record it to maybe a phone that you have in your pocket or somewhere else on your body. Again, the recording of the audio is very important and can be recorded outside of the device that you're filming the video on and synced up later in editing or post. How are we doing for time? We are... Ooh, this is going to be probably a longer episode than my usual ones. Apologies for that, but I hope you are getting as much as you can out of this particular podcast episode. If you do, feel free to reach out to me at the Video Confidence Coach on our website, vcc.training. All right, so we've covered the planning ahead, we've covered the audio, and now it's time for the video. So you've already thought up a little bit about the video ahead of time because you've been trying to find a good spot to put your phone. You've tried to find high places. The reason that you find high places compared to just say lower ones is that you don't have to worry about people standing in front of your camera or standing in front of your phone. If it's on the back of a chair, there's a possibility that someone may sit in front of you, and then all you'll do is have a good 20 minutes of the back of their head. So if you've got the opportunity to put it up high, I do not recommend, however, putting your phone on speakers. Speakers, because even though they may look like high vantage points and they've got a flat surface on top, that surface is going to vibrate like all hell. It's going to vibrate like an old car that needs an engine check. It's going to go brrrr, and your footage is going to be blurry, and your footage is also going to be moving around a lot, and there's a higher chance of your phone falling over because of the vibrations of that microphone. And even if, you put your phone closer to the speakers to try and get a better sound quality while also filming the video at the same time, that is also a recommendation, again, if you haven't had time to plan ahead. That is another tip for you there. So, when recording the video, so we've got lavalier mics, we've thought about the visuals. So again, the visuals are going to be, I don't want to say not important, but they're not going to be as important as, say, the audio quality of the video. Because again, people can get away when the audio is good, but the visual is crap. But if the visual is good and the audio is crap, it makes it a lot harder for people to stick around any long term. Yes, they can do it for short bursts of, say, even videos, or maybe shorter in-steps into other videos. But again, you're trying to get the best quality that you can out of the work that you're putting in. In the event that that isn't an option for you, or maybe your mobile phone is maybe not equipped, or maybe it's not recent enough to be able to record these videos or have the control that you need, I do recommend investing in a DSLR or a mirrorless DSLR, essentially the big cameras that can record from up to an hour and a half. Now, of course, I can give you plenty of recommendations, and of course, this will very much depend not just on the event that you're filming, but what you're planning to do with video long term. Because when you are investing in equipment, you are investing for a long-term use of this equipment. You're not investing for a short sprint, because you are doing this, it's an investment. You're using your hard-earned cash to buy a tool. That tool should be used for more than one purpose and should definitely fit your needs. So in that case, it's not that I don't recommend a DSLR. It's more of a case of that you have to mentor it and, try and get the focus right. You do ultimately have more control of the visual output of that video, but you might need someone to keep an eye on it because maybe it only records for 30 minutes at a time. With the mobile phone, especially as more iterations come out, the visuals do a lot of the work for you. The firmware, and the apps themselves can do an actual lot of work for you in getting that quality perfect. But again, why are you doing this? Are you recording this video just for your own reference? Then to be honest, I don't even worry about the visual aspect. I just get an old phone that has a headphone jack, to be perfectly honest. Again, this is my way of doing things. Get an old phone with a headphone jack. I have these PDA style holders that I got off eBay years ago. And essentially I turn on the phone, put on voice note, plug in my lav, and I tap it to make sure that it's actually recording from the lav and not just the phone itself. I attach that to my back. I do what I need to do. And then it's for my self-reference. All I need to do is really listen to what I'm saying. And I can get the visual feedback from people in the room, because that's who I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for people in the room. And in this opportunity, I can then put this audio through, say, a transcriber and be able to then convert that into blog posts, or maybe convert it into other carousel or text-based posts for, say, LinkedIn or maybe a newsletter. Again, you can do a lot with audio by itself to be able to repurpose it into other forms of content. But if you are going to use it for your website, for your social media, for your email campaigns, at a bare minimum, getting the visuals to look decent is a good investment of your time. So again, making sure that you back up your phone ahead of time if you've got the ability to plan ahead of time, or when you actually turn on your camera, put it in video mode. Some cameras, some phones have the ability to tell you how long they can record for at the settings that they're on. You can fiddle around with the settings a little bit to see if you can extend that a little bit more to cover both the amount that you're speaking for, plus at least 5 minutes either side. The reason being is there may be a chance that you go over, or there may be a chance that something happens that requires a little bit of time, and you don't want to cut off the last 30 seconds of your speech that really hones the really important part of what you're doing. So giving yourself that opportunity to do that is the best you can do. And again, if there's like 5 minutes of, dead air of recording, you're fine. You're okay. The fact is that you've recorded the main thing to begin with. So to wrap up today, if you are recording your speaking event, this is what you're going to do. You're going to think about things ahead of time. You're going to think about what exactly do I want to this speech or this talk or this panel discussion to, what is this recording going to be used for in the future? Is it more important for me to think about the audio aspect, or do I needing that visual aspect to cover what I'm doing? Okay, then if that is the case, I need to make sure that I have permission from the event holder and host, making sure that I have permission from other people on the stage with me. And if I am asking someone else to hold the phone for me, making sure that they're holding it like they would glasses, or when they're trying to hold the phone, they're going to do their best to keep it away from their face. And then in that event, you can start thinking about placement, and you can start thinking about the audio quality. Again, everything that I've just described may seem really complex. And at the end of the day, if you feel like, hey, Zoe, this was so complex, I don't even know what to do, then do you need to record this video? Who are you recording this video for? That is a question to ask. And if it is recording for your customers, for your leads, for the people that really matter most, then the effort is worth it. If it's just for yourself, or maybe it's just maybe a couple of family and friends, not saying that they're not worth it, I want to stress that, but then maybe just simply giving it to a friend in the crowd and getting them to record what you need to. It is a lot easier to work with good video and good audio than it is to try and make bad video and bad audio good or good enough. Hopefully you have enjoyed this podcast. It was a bit of a longie today, but I hope that you've gotten what you needed to out of it. Make sure you check out vcc.training, my website, where you'll find other tips like this, and you'll find the checklist that I mentioned earlier up on the episode to help you self-record your speaking engagements. Wish you all the best, and see you at the next episode of Video Confidence Coach Cast. Imagine this. You're at a networking event, talking with friends and strangers alike. You come across someone who has a business card they hand over to you, and it has a QR code. You say thank you, have a good, great conversation with this person, and then you head home. And then the next day, while you're in the office, you come across your pile of business cards that you were able to pick up from the networking event, and you come across that particular card with that QR code. It intrigues you. You scan it with your phone, and then you come to a web page that is almost like it's been made for you. It reminds you of the person you were talking about with a quick 30-second video that says, "Hi, it was great to see you at this event," and gives you the elevator pitch again, just to remind you of who they are and why you connected in the first place. then the website page scrolls down to be able to show useful things that you were actually talking about, you were engaging with, and the call to actions that actually resonate with you and why you connect with this person in the first place. This idea and this webpage sticks in your head for months, to the point where you meet this person again. You see them at a networking event, you see them across the room, and you beeline for them. You approach them, you start talking, you have a chat, you almost like you have in-jokes with this person, because you were able to look at this webpage and almost get in-jokes as to how they speak and how they interact with customers and leads. You don't have to imagine this, because this had happened to me. And this consistently happens to me at networking events. Why? Because this is the tactic that I use when I'm at networking events. Welcome to the Video Confidence Coach cast with your host, the Video Confidence Coach, connecting the dots between your marketing and personal branding with the power of video. So, everything that I've just described to you just then has not been, it's not that it's new, it's more that this is a story that I've heard again and again and again since I've enacted this about 6 months ago, I want to say, as of recording. We're currently in the middle of October 2024, and this tactic I have used since about April, May of this year. And essentially what it is that my business cards, which took me forever to design, by the way, because I'm a perfectionist, has a very large QR code that is fairly playful in the sense that it is a QR code, and it has the link vcc.training/meet-me. And essentially what this does is as I described in the story at the start of this episode, it links people to a networking central hub page on my website that's not publicly available. It just links people straight to this website. And what this does is it enables people who have my business card, or they have recorded my lanyard. So I have a little lanyard that I have around that has the QR code on there. And this enables to do a couple of things for me. It enables me to stick in their minds, because I'm able to show them something that they can use in their own networking and marketing. But also, it's a tactic that I've recommended to other clients in the past where networking is very important for them in their business. As you can probably imagine with the work that we do at the Video Confidence Coach, networking is quite important. And to be able to streamline not just the 7 points connection factor, and I'll get into that in a second, but it also helps me stick in the minds of people who are my target audience. People who come across my Meet Me page become entranced and enamored to the point where they're like, hey Zoe, can you make one of these for me? Are you able to implement this into my own marketing strategy? People who get excited by this are my kind of people. So yes, Zoe, for those who are detractors, you might be saying, it's just a web page. I have those all over my website. But this is a specific web page that has only a few goals, or even one goal. One goal is to get people to connect with me on LinkedIn. Why? Because LinkedIn is where I update people on what I do, but also it is very, I don't want to say integral, but it's a very large part of my follow-up and my marketing efforts when it comes to social media. I do have appearances on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and all those other places. But when it comes to my efforts and the work that I do, I always put LinkedIn first, because the people that want to work with me are going to be on LinkedIn. So in moments like that, I have this webpage that I update reasonably, I would say realistically every 2 months, where I update the video and I update a couple of the call to actions. And again, I will specify a little bit more specifically what is in those call to actions. But the plan is to make this not overwhelming for the person who has scanned the QR code. Now you're in their web pages, you're probably on their phone, on their LinkedIn. And essentially this central hub on my website enables me to have direct communication with the people who are interested in what I do. Because they wouldn't have scanned the QR code if they A, didn't trust me, because the QR code could have taken them anywhere, and B, like, if they are not interested in what I do, they would not scan the QR code. They would not care at all. And going back to what I mentioned before about the 7 touch points, this is a theory that moves around a little bit in scope. But essentially what it is that you need a minimum of 7 touch points to get someone to know, like, and trust you to purchase from you. And of course, as the world becomes more online, as things change dramatically and trust is lost when it comes to specific industries and work, you need more touch points. Touch points can include seeing your name and your face, seeing you at a networking event, seeing what you do and how you can help people, and them actually remembering that you exist to help fix their issue. And again, that is not an unexhaustive list. There is a very long list of touch points, and if you want to, feel free to Google about that. I probably have a couple of blog posts that I'm working on to talk more about touch points in the future. But these touch points, again, it's a very dubious theory, but it's enough to be able to streamline your focus and be able to make it clear to yourself, okay, what exactly is this tool used for, and how is it working for me? So again, this is a web page on your website that is not accessible via, say, Google or like on your menu on your web page. On your website. So this is for, again, it is a special little private page that people only access once they have that QR code. That QR code can be on flyers, on lanyards, on business cards, or again, you have control over where this QR code goes. I highly recommend putting this QR code on physical things that you have for your business. The reason being is that you can control who sees this page and ultimately the message that you have. And also it gives you that exclusivity of, you know, who has access to this page at the end of the day. Again, you're not doing anything illegal. You're not doing anything weird. I want to stress that. I'm just saying that you ultimately have control over who has access to this page. So the web page itself, as I've described, and I think you've got a little bit of the idea of what exactly this page would look like. This page needs to cover a couple of factors. It needs to be mobile friendly, because most, if not all, of the people who are going to be accessing this page are going to be accessing it via a QR code. How do people scan QR codes? Via mobiles. So the page needs to be mobile friendly first and foremost. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be very contrasted. It needs to have very clear bold headings and very clear text. And it needs to have very clear distinctions between buttons and the background. And again, some basic accessibility tools you can check out by a friend of the video confidence coach, LB Learning. And they have a bunch of useful stuff on their website. The page itself needs to be really easy to navigate because, again, it is on mobile and it has a really clear goal of reminding people who you are and why they should work with you. And it shouldn't be that complicated. I do not recommend a lot of text or a lot of testimonials or anything like that. And even if you are going to have some of those sections on this page, have them at the bottom, because if they're scrolling all the way to the bottom, they care. Or at least they want to check you out. I do recommend having links to your social media platforms, though a maximum of 3, because again, you're trying to get people to take action once they have, scanned this page. And having your top 3 performing social media platforms are going to look better for you. And also, and again, enables to narrow people to the focus of what you ultimately want them to do. Having a very clear call to action for people to connect with you on LinkedIn, because again, LinkedIn, not necessarily it's just because it's my strategy and how I like it, but because it enables people to connect with you, not just the business and what you can do for them, but you as a human being, because they are more likely to remember a face and a person's name than they are to remember a business name. It's just facts. So if you can connect them on LinkedIn, go them on Shoo-In. And having a video at the top of the page is very useful, and a video that is 30 seconds long max. Essentially a video that says, hey, this is who I am, this is how we met, usually a networking event, to be honest, and give them a very clear, precise elevator pitch to remind them why they were talking to you. You can showcase your personality and how you've been able to interact, and maybe even having a little in-joke between you, maybe something that you end up talking to a lot of people about. Say, for example, one of the topics that I usually get talking about is Geelong ordinances. Things that are happening in Geelong, I have opinions about. That can be an in-joke between you and the people that you're talking with. Now, of course, that doesn't have to be location-based. It's something nice, again, something that people can remember you by. And again, these are people who are engaged with what you're saying because they've scanned the QR code. They are not seeing this if they are not interested in what you're doing. Good. So, creating connection with the people who are visiting this page, be it professionals or personal, whoever has gotten this QR code, is because they are actively wanting to engage with you. And if you make it easier for them to connect with you via this webpage, you can regularly update this webpage to reflect whatever your big goal for that quarter or that month is. You can update the page simply by changing a button. You can maybe update or maybe provide opportunities for people to provide their email address to get a lead magnet that you are either discussing or something that is really forefront in your mind. For example, hey, we're really talking about, not we, but like as a general thing, you talk a lot about customer avatars. Say, for example, that's a me thing. I usually like to put the customer first when it comes to marketing and building your entire marketing strategy with not having a clear idea who you're marketing to is a big red flag. So in that case, download my customer avatar worksheet and mini course that'll help you get really clear on who you want to work with. And once you've done that, feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you with the rest. Something like that. Really simple, straightforward prompts. And also reducing the amount of options that people can choose from will help reduce the overwhelm and fatigue that can sometimes happen when you're on a web page that you're unfamiliar with and there's just so many things to choose from that you get overwhelmed and you get kind of scared. So don't worry about that. So try your best to try and reduce the amount of options that people can choose from, because again, you are controlling who has access to this page, either via flyers, business cards, pamphlets. The reason, again, I'm recommending physical places or maybe even stickers is so that you have control over how people access you and access this particular page. I do recommend updating it at least once every 2 months because things will change. Your priorities in regards to what you're wanting people to sign up to your email list will change. And also, like, you may be able to, check in and say, maybe the video is a little outdated. I've changed my elevator pitch. I've changed who I'm targeting. Again, quickly record the video, be it when it's on mobile. I do recommend a vertical video, again, just because of the amount of effort and it enables you to take up more of the screen so people actually action what you're asking people to do. And you can do this quickly on your phone, quickly record a video. Hey, it was me. We met at a recent networking event. Again, you can be a little bit broad because you're going to be using this at multiple different locations and events and places. And then remind people of your elevator pitch. So, and updating that every 2 months just makes a bit of sense. Now, of course, I understand that this is another tool that is another thing to add to your plate. Zoe, you are making us do too much. You and every client that I work with. I always do too much. And then you see the results. You see people, as I mentioned at the story at the start of this podcast, people coming back to me, beelining me at events because they remember me and they remember me so fondly, even though we only had a 2 to 3 minute conversation. Why? Because they saw the stuff that I did and because it relates heavily to the personal branding and the work that I do. It makes sense. Now, of course, for example, this tool that I have outlined for you in today's podcast may not be the right thing for you right now, and that is okay. But you have this tool in your back of your mind whenever you are, say, for example, looking to invest more time into networking. Hey, maybe I should make a Meet Me page just to make my life easier. Or in the events that you are going to, say, a conference, and you can think, okay, I can update this, maybe create a page, slap on some QR stickers, and this will make it slightly easier to remember who I'm talking with. There are plenty of opportunities, and because I've given you a base foundation of what you could possibly do with this tool, you could do so much. It's sitting on your website. You could easily get more email connections. You can also enable like AI chat tools, or maybe even allow people to either give you a call or send you a message. Whatever means that translates into sales for you, you can put that on this page. You have opportunities galore because it's on your website and you have control over it. So thank you so much for listening and watching today's podcast if you are watching us on the YouTubes, and thank you so much for your time today. If you are interested in generating a Meet Me page on your own website, feel free to check out mine at vcc.training/meet-me, or, and again, of course, it'll always update and always change, so it may not be exactly as I've described today because things will evolve and change. But if you're interested in me creating one for you because you don't have the time and energy, I can also do that for you. You just check us out at vcc.training/services. So much. Ugh. It's getting a bit hot out here. Thank you so much for enjoying today's podcast episode. Look forward to seeing you, and maybe seeing you at a networking event where I can give you a QR access to this webpage yourself. Bye. Look at that, we made it through an entire live stream with the thunder and the storms. Even though it may not have come across in the microphone today, there was definitely some rumblings going on during some of those pause breaks that I was taking for aircon and for water. So thank you so much for enjoying and sitting through the Video Confidence Connect today. We do run this every week from 10 to 11 Australian Eastern Standard Time on a Friday. So if you have any questions for me, like the podcast episodes that we had today, of email me, message me, talk to me, or what have you, feel free to reach out to me and I'll look into either creating a podcast episode that will address your problem or be able to provide you a clear explanation to you in writing, so then you can use that to achieve whatever you need to achieve. Or I'd be able to chat with you live on a live stream just like this. I have had a couple of people who have asked me some questions and they say, I would love to have a chat with you. I just don't have a lot of time. And I said, that is perfectly fine. That's what this Video Confidence Connect is for. A weekly opportunity, not just for me to tick off my marketing duties, but to have an opportunity to chat with you, with anyone who is interested in growing their personal brand and connecting the dots between their marketing and personal brand with the power of video. So again, I look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you enjoyed today's wonderful, hot stream, and I will see you next week.